Good day, folks. Well, today we're going to be starting on the top of the gearbox. So with that, let's start gathering up some parts and get right into it. Again, we have our empty bucket. Make sure we get all the parts. So that's the connector. We need a 7. Pop these two bad boys together like so, and away we go. We need another 7. And a dark gray double connector. Oh, I love this piece. One of my favorites. And with that, we are going to get this guy to go that far. This is only going to be going in 1 unit deep. And I could take it forward. What I like to do with these is I always like to use a bar as a template. And we arrive at 2 axles linked together. We now need, and this is another good piece. This one tends to be used to connect pieces sideways. One of those. I need one of these. And we're going to connect this one this way. This one's going to go across the bottom like so. And then we're going to start laying on more pieces to get this guy together. So we need one of these. And this particular piece is typically used to hold axles in place. I'm thinking that's where we're going with this one. Need another one of these. So this is going to go on this side, and it's going to lock these pieces in together. I'm going to put this one. And when you do assemble these guys, do notice the orientation of the hole. Very important that you look closely at the drawing so that you actually do get everything in the proper orientation. And then we continue on. We need one of these. Number 7, 3, 6, 7. We're going to be connecting this one, 3rd fold down. This guy is going to go into here like so. And now we need another gray cap, a red connector. So the red connector, these actually end up being used as spacers. As you can see, it's exactly 1 unit wide and will be used as a spacer down the road. All right, making good progress here. Okay, now we need to start working on some gears. The gears are identified typically by color and by shape. And in this case, the previous owner of this unit separated everything by color as opposed to function, which again is fine, again, personal preference. However, that just means it's a little harder to find these. This is a tiny little gear that is a dark gray and is fine where it needs to be, but we just find it. When I was in here, I thought I'd look for another one. However, I did find a couple, so we're good with that. So these 2 gears and a number 4 axle. And 4 axles are dark gray. With that, our directions tell us We are going in orientation-wise, very important. We're going to go through this hole. We're going to have this gear installed, this smaller gear in front of it. And again, as the gearbox is starting to be constructed, it's critical that you make sure that everything moves freely. So far, so good. We did a number 3 axle and a black connector. Looks just like this. So basically, this is just a black tube. We'll be putting this guy on here like so. Now, again, ensure that everything is still working to plan. I always like to double check my orientation to make sure that the instructions and I are following each other correctly. And now we need the red. Well, this is a particular type of gear, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And a number 3. So this gear, if you can see, has a hollow inside with 4 little side posts. And this gear will either engage or disengage depending on how it's positioned on the unit. And so without showing you, we'll just kind of get this guy in here. Now this gear is going to mesh with this gear, and this side piece here is going to hold it in place, and we can see as we turn one axle, the other axle works with it. At this point now we're going to put the actual shifter, and this piece forward. So this unit here, you'll notice it has a little slide in the center that will give pressure to it, so it either engages or disengages depending on, there'll be a lever or some sort of mechanism here that will just push that in, and when that's in, it engages. When it's out, it doesn't engage. And that's how this, basically this is how this transmission is going to work. There'll be a series of gears that will either activate or not activate depending on where a third lever is. Now we have another temporary gear, we have a placeholder, and the number 8. Let's do this guy. At that point, we're going to put this in through here and have this gear. Again, this gear needs to work with that one. They need to mesh. We're going to have our spacer. So we're beginning to see how this is going to play out. As this turns, this guy turns. And then this is going to be this way. There'll be another gear here at some point during the build that this will be a selector. All right. And sure enough, the very next step is that selector we were just talking about. So this piece, as you can see, has an eccentric sleeve on it where when one side is in, the other side is out. And this needs to go in here, it's kind of very critical that it is put in the right orientation. Otherwise, you're just going to have it will physically not work. So, as you can see, what's happening, it moves that gear selector forward and back depending on where this is sitting. And at this point, they want us to leave it in the forward position. So we will let it do that. Again, we make sure that everything operates as it should. And it does. So we're going to carry on to the next step, but if you bear with me, we'll be right